Alright, so it's been about 12 days since I posted last. Since then, I've lost about, I'd say, almost 10 pounds. Now, today I wanted to talk about why that is, caloric deficit and weighing yourself every day, as well as missing days while you're in a deficit. So, the reason I like to say caloric deficit, because most people don't understand that dieting is just a word. Most people hate the word diet, but if you change the way you're eating, you're just eating in a caloric deficit if you're on a diet. If you start eating more, you're still changing the way you're eating. It's just not a caloric deficit. So usually if you're eating a bunch of fast food or processed food from boxes, you're usually eating more calories, and that's why you end up gaining more weight, because you end up eating more calories, so you're not in a caloric deficit. So when you hear the word diet or I need to lose weight, really all you're saying is you need to eat in a caloric deficit. The problem most people don't understand is when you eat less, you will lose weight no matter what you eat. So you can still eat pizza, McDonald's, Taco Bell, whatever you want, and you will still lose weight as long as you eat in that caloric deficit. The difference is your longevity will not be as good because it would be really hard for you to run off of junk. So if you ate Big Macs every day, and we'll just say a Big Mac is 1,500 calories, and your total calories for the day is 3,000, and you decide to have 2 Big Macs for the day and you don't eat anything else, yes, you ate in your caloric deficit and you met your calories. What's going to happen is you're going to lose weight, but you're going to feel like absolute junk. You're not going to be able to run as efficiently as if you had eaten more veggies, more fruits, more proteins, instead of just that processed sandwich from McDonald's. And what most people don't understand in the long run is if you lose all that weight, eventually you're going to get to a point where you can't lose weight anymore because that caloric deficit you've been eating will get to a point where that's the weight that caloric deficit is at. So if 3,000 calories is, we'll say, 220, you weigh 220, and you started at 250, you lost that 30 pounds, you're at 220, and all of a sudden you can't lose weight anymore, it's because that caloric deficit has finally got to the point of where your weight should be with that deficit. So what that means is if you want to lose more weight, you would need to decrease that calorie intake to start losing weight again. And people seem to think like, oh, I made it to my weight, but now I can't lose any more weight. It's because what you're eating for calories is that weight. That is the maintain at that weight. If you were still eating in a deficit, you would still be losing weight. Eventually, how you eat will bring you to a certain weight where you will weigh it constantly. And that's what your goal is. Your goal is to figure out what you're eating, put it in your body, and get to your weight. What you want to do, though, is make sure what you're eating will be good for you in the long run. So the reason most people say don't eat boxed food or don't eat fast food is because it eats into your calories like crazy. So, for instance, if I gave you a hamburger, but I went out and bought the hamburger meat and bought the buns, bought everything you put in the hamburger, or we went to McDonald's and I bought you that same thing, how they make their meat might be different. Everything else might be same the calories. The bun might be the same calories. The lettuce might be the same calories. The tomatoes, whatever's in there might be the same calories. But how they make that meat could completely change it. If they put their meat through all these oils and they fry it, all of a sudden, let's say you're eating 4 ounces of meat, which is a quarter of a pound of meat, and it says it's 200 calories, and you're like, oh, good, so my Big Mac should be 200 calories. And you go look at it, and it's not. Because how they made that, the oil, all the extra stuff they added to make that, if they soak it first, stuff like that, obviously they're probably not doing that, but you get the gist. It will add up to more calories. So all of a sudden that 4 ounces of meat is, we'll say, 400 calories. You're getting 200 extra calories from that Big Mac. So your meal is 200 calories less, but it's not made in all that extra oil and shit that they're making it in. So now you can eat almost 2.5 or 3 of your sandwiches, and it will equal 2 of their sandwiches. So you get a whole extra sandwich out of it. Still doesn't mean it's healthy in the long run, but you can understand why that changes. And there's been many people that eat Taco Bell constantly because Taco Bell is a lot of meats and stuff, and still lose weight, still train, still maintain a pretty healthy lifestyle. There are certain fast foods you can eat, and companies that relish in having healthy quality food instead of it just be drowned in oil, and then some that just want to feed you. Figure which one of those you want to eat, or which one of those you want to go to. So start understanding that your caloric deficit is how you lose weight. The word diet is just a word. Now, we'll process that into weighing yourself every day. Weighing yourself every day is really tough, especially when you first start working out, because when you first start working out, it will be easy to lose weight. Unless you are already super skinny, let's say you already have 10% body fat or you're at 8% body fat, losing weight for you will be extremely difficult. You'll have to stay super focused on your calorie deficit. Where if you're really obese, and I mean obese as in you're really fat, because the BMI scales that people follow, that will tell many people they're obese. When I look at my BMI for 6 feet, 28 years old, it says that I am moderately obese. Like I need to lose weight. You're really unhealthy. I'm not. The difference is muscle weighs the same as fat. If it's a pound, it's a pound, it's a pound. It just looks a lot different. So 220 pounds of muscle is going to look a lot different than 220 pounds of fat on someone. That's what you have to catch on to here. So don't look at that. Just know, you will know if you are an unhealthy fat. And there are some people that are big in stature, that are 6'4", 6'8", and they're big guys and big girls. Doesn't mean you are unhealthy. You could just be big in stature. So you have to understand the fact that just because you're a big person doesn't mean you're unhealthy. So first, understand, am I unhealthy? If your doctor tells you, like, listen, you're sick, your cholesterol's here, this is here, you need to lose weight, that's different. If your doctor looks at you and just says you're fat and has no reason for you telling you you're fat besides just looking at you, 1, get a new doctor. 2, that's not a legitimate reason to be like, oh, I really need to lose weight. If you feel sluggish, tired, you can't do things, then you probably are unhealthy. You can even be really fit, and if you feel those ways, just because you look good doesn't mean what you're putting into yourself isn't good. This goes back to you're eating in a caloric deficit, you're working out, but you're not eating what you should to maintain where you are. And when you weigh yourself every day, it kind of keeps you mentally focused and helps you start understanding. So when I weighed myself last Monday, I was 220. All last week, I did not count any of my calories. I just ate less junk food and didn't eat any processed box food. I made all my own food. I made Fiesta chicken in a crock pot, which had chicken, corn, beans. It had sour cream, which is processed. It had cheese, which is processed, but you can adjust to those things. And I didn't count my calories. I had the same type of meal every day. So like Fiesta chicken and a Portuguese roll, or Fiesta chicken and a wrap, and I had that for about 4 days. Then I had soup, and then this weekend I had a little bit of junk food, but I didn't have any fast food, and I didn't have a ton of junk food. And I went from 220 to 215 pretty fast just from cutting out that little bit of junk and not eating every single time I became hungry. I just ate a sufficient amount of food so I was full. This week I am counting my calories, and we're on Thursday, so it's been 4 days. And it was easy the first 2 days, and yesterday was tough because I had to work way later, so I didn't eat. Usually I eat around 6, my dinner, and I was hungry, so I started snacking. So I overate my calories probably anywhere between, I'd say, 200 to 500 calories. But that doesn't mean my whole diet's over. That doesn't mean, oh, I quit now. That means, yeah, you had a little hiccup. But depending on how much weight you're planning to lose in your caloric deficit, you can adjust. So if you're planning to lose half a pound, it's probably going to give you a minor caloric deficit to lose that half a pound. So if you mess up during the week, you might only lose a quarter of a pound instead of half a pound because you went up in your calories. Where I aim to lose 2 pounds a week. So my caloric deficit is on the high end, about 5 to 600 calories that I eat less every day. So if I overeat one day, I might only lose 1.75 pounds in a week, but progress is progress. I'm not going to stop my whole caloric deficit because I overate one day. And if I'm smart, I can even adjust. Let's say I overate by 400 calories. If I now cut 100 calories out of the rest of my days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I meet my quota and boom, it's done. Or hell, even if I cut out 50 calories, I'm still over by 200 calories, but I'll still probably lose that 2 pounds. Or 1.95 pounds, but it's still progress. So if you overeat one day, don't make it a habit. I'm like, things happen. Just don't panic and be like, oh my God, I messed up. I'm so done with this. It happens. You're learning to adjust to this caloric deficit. Just understand that when you step on that scale, you still might be low. This morning I stepped on the scale and I was 211.6. Last week on Thursday, I also stepped on the scale and was 211.6. So I can either be like, oh my God, I haven't lost any weight. Or the fact is, I stepped on the scale after I drank a bunch of liquid today. So if I'm 211.6 after drinking a bunch of liquid, it means I'm even lower than that, which means I'm making progress, which means by the end of the week, I'll probably be around 210, 209. And then by the end of next week, maybe I lose 5 pounds again. But eventually my 5 to 4 pound weight loss will stop happening because my body will have adjusted to me eating a little less, and it's not going to lose 5 pounds. If you are consistently losing 5 pounds every single week for 2 months, either A, you're really obese and that's okay, or B, you're doing something wrong because losing more than 2 pounds to 3 pounds is not healthy. So you start losing muscle somewhere in there and you should probably adjust. So don't eat too little because your body will eventually start holding stuff and storing stuff, and you won't lose anything because your body will think you are starving. So it will start holding on to more to save you. So this is all stuff you'll learn. Same thing with if you're super hungry every single night. It means somewhere along the way you're messing up what you put in your body. It's not balanced well enough to keep you full. If you are used to eating a shit ton of food, you might be hungry every night because you're used to eating 4,000 calories and all of a sudden you're able to eat 3,500. So that's an extra 500 calories a day and you're just not used to it. And sometimes it's just a little bit of adjustment and mental focus. So I say drink a little bit more water to fill that quota. So that will all depend on you. Along with your scale will depend on what you ate the night before, how hydrated are you, how dehydrated are you. And basically, when you weigh yourself every day, it will give you a mental focus to start understanding how your weight fluctuates. Some days you might weigh 2 pounds more, some days you may weigh 2 pounds less. It's just how it goes. It's that consistent number that you get that you want. You want to weigh yourself on the same scale or the same 2 scales as you have 2. That way you can get a consistent number. Some scales might tell you you're heavier. Some scales might tell you you're lighter. At the end of the day, just use one scale. Usually I try to use the scale that always tells me I'm heavier. That way when I get to my goal weight, maybe you're lighter. Because usually when I weigh in at competition, I'm usually 3 pounds lighter than I weighed on the scale. Which, you know what? No skin off my bones. So that's weighing yourself every day. That's eating in a caloric deficit. That's mental focus. The last thing I want to talk about is if you get sick. Where I'm at in New England, it's wintertime. I work with kids. Along with my MS, getting sick is not fun. But because of my new medication, now when I get sick, I actually just get sick. It used to shut my body down. So right now I have a little bit of the flu and my sinuses in my face, as you can see from my giant nose. It's big, but it's usually not this big. I'm super congested. And when I wake up in the morning, it literally feels like I'm like, my face hurts. I don't want to do this. But as I get moving, everything gets easier. You don't want to, when you have the flu, make sure you get better. But it doesn't mean stop training altogether. Maybe it means go to the gym, do a lighter work. Let your body do a little bit of work, but don't overexert yourself. I push myself to limit even when I'm sick. That way I know how I'm doing. But take it a little bit easy. Make sure you're getting the proper sleep, this proper nutrition, and the flu will eventually pass. If you're pushing yourself to the breaking point every day, your body's going to have a harder time adjusting to that. So take care of yourself. You can't control when you get the flu and when you don't. Sometimes you get it because you went to a family party, or sometimes you just happen to touch someone that has that flu. It sucks, but that's how it works. So don't just quit because you have the flu. A lot of people get sick and they just eat their face off, or they quit their diet because they're sick. You're going to get sick. I'm like, there's 365 days in the year, and you're bound to get sick at least once. So be prepared for that and stay mentally focused when you do get sick. And this is how you will consistently lose the weight. The hard part for me is when I get sick and as I keep going, once I get to 200 pounds, which will probably be somewhere in February, it's going to be really hard for me to lose weight. Usually from 200 to 190 is a mental focus. It's like sometimes I don't lose anything, and then all of a sudden the next week I lose 4 pounds because the weight caught up finally, and the scale's like, oh, no, you actually weigh this now. But I don't let it bring me down. I just adjust. And one last note before we go. If you're using an app, make sure about every 10 pounds, you readjust your weight on that app. I can't say that enough. It's many people keep their app at the same exact calories and don't adjust it, and they wonder, how come I'm only losing like 0.25 pounds now? How come I haven't lost weight in like 5 weeks? And one, it's probably because you're not adjusting calories on the app. And two, don't always look at the scale. Your waist will answer all your questions. If your pants are fitting less, so your pants are fitting less, your waist, they're around the waist, they're too loose, you are losing weight. It's just not showing on the scale because you're getting a little bit of muscle that's replacing that little bit of fat, so it will kind of balance out. Obviously, if you lose 20 pounds of fat, you are not gaining 20 pounds of muscle. If you gain 20 pounds of muscle, you are on steroids, and there's no other way around that situation. But that's a whole different subject. But the other reason might be on your app, if you don't adjust your calories or don't adjust your weight, the app won't do it for you. So if you lose 10 to 20 pounds and you don't adjust it, it will keep saying, eat in this caloric deficit, and we go back to the beginning where I say, you caught up to what you were eating. So your body is comfortable at that weight, so you need to eat less. So when you adjust that, don't be surprised if all of a sudden it goes down 300 calories or something like that, and you're like, what the hell? It's because that's the caloric deficit you need to eat in. So I say 10 pounds, adjust it. That way it will keep you focused. So if anyone has questions, my Instagram is on the top of the page. You can click the link. You have my comment section. All one person that watches this video. And I will see you as soon as possible. Between the colds and everything else, it was long to get this video, but I'll see you guys soon.